So I just got home a couple of minutes ago with Ms. Anya Kitty, who I woke up this morning around 4 or 5 to a thump, and it was her falling out of the litter box. She doesn't generally have problems. She's albino and makes her blind and deaf. I've seen her walk into walls, and I've also seen her catch the tiniest little gnat right out of the middle of nowhere. So the degree of her blind and deafness, she's got sonar thing, and really doesn't hear very well. However, seeing, we're not really sure. So it's not exactly unusual to hear a thump as she's walking into a wall. Doesn't happen very often. She's pretty good. But there was just a thump, and I, got up because I live with my cats. That's it. And, if there's a spare spirit or anything, they don't make much noise. So that came as a shock, that thump, and she was just laying on the side of the litter box, pathetic. I was like, oh my God, what just happened here? And she was dragging her leg behind her. And, as a former paramedic, I'm going to go into, instant assessment mode. And I did, but it was so weird because she's not a human and I can't ask her things. And so the only thing I can do is like, what are the signs, what's happening? And it wasn't lining up with anything that made any sense, except I think my cat might have had a stroke. I'm not sure, but it certainly seems like it. She's got this one-sided weakness, and yet her front paws were fine. Nothing hurt whenever I was, mushing and poking, doing my physical assessment of her. I couldn't see any obvious, gaping owie or anything like that. And, I kind of was looking for that because yesterday, not sure what's going on in the land of feline, but yesterday there was some monster power struggle in my apartment. Ms. Anya Kitty was smacking down hard on Evan Rude, and I mean she tumbled him a couple of times. And I went out to take a walk and was gone for a little while, and I came back in and there were just tufts of Evan everywhere, and I fully expected to find blood and guts somewhere, but I didn't. And so I didn't really worry about it too much, but I did notice she's just super duper like and we're coming into a full moon, timeless message, but we're pulling into a full moon on Wednesday, I think the buck moon. And so I was like, yeah, she's kicking and a bucking early. But anyhow, pull forward to, I've got this lame cat that, what are you doing? And she's dragging her leg behind her. And so I'm automatically, of course, I'm thinking, oh no, because I couldn't figure out. And I started to pray, because that's just what I do. I don't know what else to do, then I'm gonna pray, I have to run through the protocol of what the emergency calls for, realize, okay, we've got some time to work with this, what do I do? And I kept coming up with a blank of, I'm not got a vet I can call. The last vet I called was a mobile vet to help me say goodbye to my old guy Tai, and that was only a couple months ago. So I was wigging out hard. It totally it triggered the part of me that went, no, I don't want to lose anything else. If I lose one more thing, I was on a real tangent, with crying. And because I did just put my 19-year-old kitty cat to sleep, I think it was April, I don't even know, it was just like, oh, and I was panicking. I don't generally have straight on, just full on, I'm on the edge of, hysteria. And I felt myself really just losing my grip. Like I was hyperventilating, crying, and could barely stand, it was like, oh my God. And I kept inside my mind, I'm thinking, do you hear me? Do you hear me? Can you hear me now? That, whoa, you gotta stop. This train is running out of the station. It's like, runaway train. Okay. It wasn't working. It was not working. I was straight strapped and ready to go, and fortunately, the kinder mind that I've asked for from Spirit is, when I'm getting ready to go, take off somewhere, please grab a hold of me and give me that kind reminder. Hey, Kate, are you listening to me? And it took a minute, and I realized in that little process, the 3-second process that matriculated and came out while I was sitting waiting at the vet's office was, hey, you hear me. You do hear me. And here's a critical point there, Kate, where you can say, I'm going to choose, even though it's really hard, I'm going to choose to listen to that tiny whisper of a voice. When they say still small voice, I want it to be really loud, like, you know, I want you to bring the calliope and dun, 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 so I know. And it's never been that. I don't know why I keep wanting that. It's never been that. But it's not generally so faint that I can't even make sense of what I'm doing. And, you know, my monkey mind has lost its monkey mind all over the place. And the banana, I fed it the other day with my great apartment find and success there and everything. That wasn't enough. It was not hanging and banging right. And my monkey mind was absolutely going ape shit. Yeah, sorry, bad pun. I'm all about him. Bad pun helps me get through my day. It's a lousy sense of humor, but I did realize that, look, Kate, you've got a choice here. You can choose to expend the energy and the anxiety. You do need to pop that out somewhere. It's got to go somewhere, because it's going to get in the way. So that has to be discharged. You either need to scream, dance, you know, snot, booger, cry for a minute, scream into a pillow. Pick an activity, Kate, while we're talking to you, now that you hear us and you're straining hard, because it was clear to me that, yes, you can choose to discharge that panicky, anxiety, weird, you know, energy. And I was starting to get into seizure stuff. So, I mean, I was really right there at, oh, God, I live alone. The last time I had a seizure, I woke up on the floor, and it was a couple of days before I got up, you know. I'm like, no. And it's been a while. So I really was just like, and the choice is, Kate, you can choose to listen, even though you have to work really hard to do that. If you go find something else to do with yourself and discharge that energy, get rid of it, we can walk through the rest of this. And I didn't want to believe it. I'm like, no. And man, it was weird, because it was in kind of that superposition of weirdly looking at the conversation in my head and going, what are you up there doing? You know, somebody do something. And like, the somebody is doing something. We're trying to chat with, you know, a higher form of Kate, and lower forms of Kate really need to not be making those decisions. So can you please go away and wait over there? And, you know, all that sweet talk, the self-talk and everything, it's really great. It's awesome. However, it wasn't working real well. And so it did just get to the point where I had to say out loud, stop, you know, and just everybody shut up, whatever you are, shut up. And I went and I have a trampoline, a little tiny trampoline that usually gets mostly used for, you know, cat sleeping, and not Kate sleeping. You know, my cats like to sleep on it. But I dragged it out and I just started bouncing. I was like, I don't know what else to do. And it was probably the freakiest looking thing. If I have neighbors that could hear, they were probably thinking, you know, what in the world is happening over there? What is this woman doing? And I'm bounce, and crying. I mean, it was like a little child, but I don't care. Like, I cannot deal with the possibility that my cat's had a stroke, or, you know, I don't know what, or that, you know, I'm getting ready to go to a vet situation where I'm saying bye again. I don't think I can stand that. I mean, I had all the reasons lined up for a day and a half at least, you know, and if I asked for an extension, I'm sure I could get it indefinitely, of, you know, just a panic. And it's really a matter of, do you want to go that direction or give this a chance? You know, do you want to give this a chance that it might be time to expand your tools, that, you know, not everything that you've ever used in the past is going to work every single time. 808, it may not work every single time. See how that works out, Kate? It didn't, because we're running down the list. And that's why it's really great for me to have a whole bunch of different things that I can do, have my staples, and be able to pull in most of the time I can pull in and just get there because of the discipline of doing it. However, when it was spinning off, it went off at ludicrous speed too. I mean, it went from all of a sudden I'm chill to you know, instant. I mean, instant. It triggered back to, oh, I don't know, a younger part of me that had zero capability of dealing with emergency. And if anything in my years of EMS taught me that, oh, you're going to have your emotional outburst later. You can't fall apart now. You know, you can't be a medic trying to help other people if you ain't a medic that's trying to help other people. If you're a big, hot, sloppy mess that's got a bag with all the toys in it to do a great job and all that other stuff and great training and, you know, paramedic of the year, it doesn't matter, because if you're not engaging that part of you, you know, you got to put your uni on and actually act like the paramedic and then show up and do that job, not just, you know, stand there hysterical with the fear, because the fear is legitimate. It still is, you know, it is legitimate. there's nothing illegitimate about the fear itself. How do I deal with the fear is what, was today's challenge was, well, we're going to talk about this in a different way. We're going to use some of the tools that we've used before. Let's try some of those. No, those didn't work. Okay, well, then you're going to have to, Kate, because you've engaged us at this level of now listening and straining and bouncing up and down and, doing all kinds of stuff. When it finally, I finally was like, just enough. It did. I stopped. It had expended enough of the to let my mind quiet down, and I could have that rational talk with my own self. There's no way that rational talk was happening for as long as all the chaos. I mean, flying monkeys were all over the place, and there wasn't a bucket of water or witch I could douse in sight, like, make them stop. And it was a little frightening. Okay, it was a lot frightening because I don't generally have those experiences anymore to the point that I feel like I'm getting ready to just leave the station and have no idea how fast I'm going, where I'm going, or how this is going to end. And twitching weird and starting to go into seizure activity. I'm not on anti-seizure medication anymore, and I don't have any medical marijuana to help me get through that. I'd gotten through my last episode with that, and so I literally have nothing. And like, no, I don't want to be here because cats won't eat, and the litter box, and how's this going to help your cat? Oh yeah, that's right, it's not. So pull it together. Oh, okay. Is that all I have to do? Just pull it together? Okay, boop, and magically I was all better. Yeah, I wish I could say that. That's why I'm on here, is to say that, sometimes our tried and truths right now, while we have shifts of all kinds and energetic bombardment and a little magnetic crack in the Earth's magnetosphere, I think they call it. I don't know, there's a crack in the magnetic force field around Earth. There's just a lot of stuff going on, and things that used to work maybe don't. They didn't. That's been true for me. I've noticed that a lot of things that used to work, they're not working in this new paradigm, in this new understanding. And so it's freaky and it's a little scary. It's a lot scary sometimes when I'm there. And, being able to deal with that, really, 11:44, really, it's important for me anyway to look, we're going to do much better if we can get to the whys and the hows and whens and get to all those questions of what's going on, why is it going on, and better, how can we help this? And not going off the deep end and deciding, hey, I think I'll take my physical need to, discharge all of this energy. I think I'll take that in the direction of really just chewing it up in my mouth. That's not doing any good. That's wasted effort. Then go ahead, because it doesn't discharge it enough. Me personally, I need to have a whole bunch of physical exercise to get rid of loose energy. Sometimes it's really got to be physical and, get going. And so hopping up and down on a trampoline, that was helpful because I wasn't about to go take a walk, while my cat's possibly stroking out on the floor. However, that even would have been a better option for me than to do nothing but stand there and scream for an hour, because as a matter as it was, I ended up only needing to bounce for maybe 2 or 3 minutes before I could calm down and go, okay, arrested development on that train leaving the station at 900 miles an hour and, possibly crashing into, ew, I don't want to know, because that has gotten me there where I've just blacked out with, panic, and those waking up in that are coming, back to reality and see the devastation of knocking things over and frightening other people. I mean, it's a bad way to go. And so, it really was, do you really want to do it that way, or would you like to try that? Because it really seems it would be helpful to do it this way. There was nothing mean or, nasty in my head from my, mentors that were saying that. It was simply, this is really the point, Kate, for you to get it, that you have to choose it. You have to choose to find an alternate way to do that, because the way that you've done it in the past, the scientific experiment is that it was a freaking fail. You didn't like it. It's not a matter of whether or not it was highly effective. It wasn't, and I didn't like it. I don't like when I fly off the handle and lose, my bearing, and then take, an hour or a day or 10 days or whatever it is to get over what is a trauma response and a PTSD response, you know, and it doesn't matter why the injury is there, why the insult was there, how it was installed. I don't need to do all that inventory. You know, we can finger the perp later on that. We just need to get to what is that person inside of me that's so terrified my cat's dying. Oh my God, what am I gonna do? Because I'm a grown woman. I'm not whatever age that was. I'm a grown woman. And it was quite shocking to find that, oh, it's gonna take you at least 10 minutes to work through that. And it did, but it was 10 minutes of really learning another closet in my own house, you know, look in there very closely and see, you know, because the part of me that was so terrified is because I just lost my other cat, and cats and dogs and, you know, animals were things in my life that we don't want them anymore. We don't have them anymore. We just take those to the pound, or we let them out, you know, turn them loose out of a car or something. You know, we do all kinds of weird stuff, and I don't like that, you know, because as a child, I didn't have any choice in that. And, you know, that's not a cool thing. However, that part of me didn't know that we grew all the way up, sweetheart, and we don't listen to anybody else. We don't toss cats out of cars. We don't, you know, leave dogs just abandoned. We don't do that stuff. We don't we don't do that. Not as our first line choice. You know, that's not what we do. And if you're worried there that you're the next one, because it's ultimately not just about, you know, pets I've lost in the past. It's about the idea of I've been abandoned, and abandonment issues are things that will trip me up for a day. Apparently, I thought I'd work through all of that. You know, I'm all done with my healing, right? Yeah, sure, okay. But I thought really, truly, I had most of my major, you know, episodes with things, and I thought I knew all of the, you know, major triggers, and that one wasn't one I was expecting, because I did just put my other kitty to sleep. However, that was a known quantity. That was a, you know, that was a progressive disease process. Whereas this one this morning, I had nothing wrong with that cat, blind and deaf, and, you know, whatever her issue was, it came up suddenly. And so I had the opportunity a couple months ago to figure out how to deal with that slowly arriving emergency versus the pull up and, we're working, pumping and blowing. We're doing CPR on this one right now. And it took a minute to remember that, you know, when you jumped out of your rig there, Kate, you didn't stand there and look at the scene and go, oh my God, you know, even the most horrific scenes, lock it into, I'm here to do a job, got my jump bag and I'm ready to go, and fall apart later. Schedule your flake and break for later, okay? You know, and the challenge then becomes schedule your flake and break for when you're done with your job, and then don't stuff it down so far, so deep and so long that when something comes up at 54, you're not going to trigger back to, you know, the least capable part of you to deal with that emergency. And if you do, don't worry, baby, because we're right here with you. And I didn't know that when I was a kid. I'm not sure anybody does when they're a kid. I don't know. I just know that I didn't know that when I was a kid. And so there's no reason that part of me would have felt secure, safe, or even remotely knowing that there was somebody or something that even knew about her, much less was going to come and help her or deal with her grief about being abandoned and having things around her abandoned, things that she loved, you know. And that's what I found myself. I just realized that I found myself screaming when I was jumping up and down on my thing is, I don't want to lose another thing. No more. I don't want anything else taken from me. No, you can't have it. I mean, it was bringing up stuff, and I thought, oh no, you know, but once we can get, you know, when I can get to that superposition of, whoa, put some objectivity in this and just observe this, and that's a skill that has taken some time to really perfect. It caught me by surprise that, oh yeah, as perfect as it is most of the time, or as effective as it is most of the time, this is one where you're not winning that one, Kate, you're losing badly and the train's leaving. What do you want to do about that? And it would be similar to a partner on a scene, that I actually did have a scenario one time that it was a house fire and there was a baby involved, a toddler, you know, 18 months old or so, and she was in critical condition. She actually did survive, which thank goodness, but I had a small child at home at the time, and one that was, you know, a baby, maybe 6 months, and I couldn't stand it. I just could not stand it that I kind of fell apart and started like, you know, I was trying hard, because you don't do that, especially as a woman in a male-dominated field. Not a hate, not a man. I'm just saying I was there as the only woman, and there's fire crews, and, you know, there's EMS for a day. You know, this was a big deal and drew a lot of attention. And so, you know, aside from just, you know, the ego thing, who cares that I'd fall apart in front of somebody, is that, oh, you're in a uniform, baby. This isn't about you and your pride and all that crap. This is, you got a job to do. We don't have time for you to be slobbering and whatever. And my partner just kind of looked at me like, you need a minute, you know, if we need to call backup, more backup, you know. And he wasn't being mean. He was being real, like, clean with the truth, which is, I'm seasoned at this and you're, you know, fairly new on the job, and you got to get it together, because the other place that you used to work, they weren't a busy system. We're way busy, and we're so busy that if you can't get through this call, you're gonna be terminated before the call's over. Bye. You know, I mean, that was what I knew was in the text behind his eyeballs and behind what he was saying, because he didn't have time to sit there and reprimand me and give me, you know, my excuse me, my assessment, you know, my job performance assessment. That wasn't what we were doing. And he wasn't mean, but he was the senior medic, and I had not been a paramedic long, less than 2 years probably, and had only been working that job maybe a few months. And you can't come into this system with your hillbilly stuff from up north. Nah, you came south, and we don't do that here in the big city. And oh, that was a train up. So, you know, learn how to pull it together. And that was the beautiful thing, is my team inside, you know, like, hey, psst, you really want to, and it was increasingly, because it's like, as I'm screaming and carrying on, I was like, okay, good. You got out the important words. Are you ready to hear more clearly now? And I did, you know. It took a few minutes. It did. I mean, I kept, okay, just patience, patience, patience. Scream what I need to scream, and then say, hey, I'm asking for help. Then the logical conclusion, Kate, is, if you're going to have faith, and I say I do, do you still commit to that? Yes. Okay, then it might be a minute or two. Let your heart rate go down and make sure that you're really ready to get your jump back and go do the assessment and, you know, keep this a clean scene, you know. And it took a few minutes that, you know, eventually it all worked out. Obviously, I'm here sitting on my kitchen floor, because that's where I landed when I got home. And what I do whenever I don't know what else to do is start talking to myself, because when I'm talking to myself, I'm engaging my higher self, hopefully. And I'm also acknowledging in a very real way that my brain and my monkey mind are hearing me, that, look, I'm plugging in not with the TV, I'm plugging in with divinity. Thanks. We can take Jerry Springer and knock that shit off any second. We don't have time. And it's not cruel, because the inside of me actually likes when we go lock and load. Man, that's my military mode and soldier mode, paramedic mode. That's got protocols in it. There's no emotion in it, none. It's just you go into the protocol, period. That's it. And then you MacGyver all around what you need to do to make that protocol happen. However, you don't deviate from the protocol. Get busy and start now. Don't wait another second, sacred cow. So, okay, you know, that it does respond differently. However, if I went lock and load with that, you know, and field training officer mode on that with that little part, oh, I would have shut down. That would have been just psychological burnout, probably. I'd probably still be on the floor, and my cat would still probably be lying there and would not have been to the vet, so to find out she's okay. That, you know, you can't. I have to know who I'm engaging, not just out there. Screw out there. I was by myself. I have to know who I'm engaging inside of me. And that inventory, gee, I thought I know all the parts of myself. That's funny. Yeah, well, let me introduce you to a little part that you don't really know too well. And she really wants to know that she's safe, you know, and not going down into holy hell some more, because it's been ugly. Could you know, please, this baby needs some help. You know, as a toddler in a house fire, babe, did you want to, yes, I do. Okay, well, then let's do that and not that other stuff, okay? Okay, well, discipline and trust. And no, it didn't come overnight. It comes with me making a million videos to myself. And, you know, if it's helpful to other people, that's fantastic. However, 2323, if it's helpful to me, and I'm one less person that's out in humanity acting like an ass, you know, or doing irresponsible things, or being triggered so far into my fear that I can't think straight anywhere I go, or I'm going to lock in at whatever age that was. That child wasn't more than probably 2 or 3 inside of me that was like, and you know, there's no way There's no way that that little part can run, you know, the sovereignty of me. There's no way. And every little triggered part of me that feels that identity of I've got to or I should, oh no, they were being spearheaded with that baby who's saying, oh no, we've got a lot of baggage behind us, and we sure would love it if you would just really face us and deal with us, you know, talk to us, and please don't run away from us. And I had no idea. I honestly didn't. I didn't realize that I still had that many or that much neglected material that, oh dear. And no, I'm sitting on my kitchen floor and I'm, you know, teary and all that. And so it's going to be whatever it is. I'm sure I'll cry some more and, you know, need to just let it go. It was scary. However, it's not extending into tomorrow or the next week, or it's not taking away from the quality of my life long term. And she did, in fact, get the care that she needed. It took some time, as I said, but when I finally calmed down and said, okay, I just need to drop into my head, thank you for the kind reminder, and begin that gratitude, that gratitude discussion of I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for this, and I'm grateful that she's alive, I'm grateful that it's only one leg, I mean, what do I have? I can go off on all the stuff I don't have. Think deeper and broader and bigger there, Kate. You know, that's easy. Grab the easy stuff. Well, yeah, we already know that one. That's a tired old Jerry Springer story. Could we have something more interesting? Get off the Hallmark Channel, you know, believing that it's all going to just be fine and I'll just pray and she'll be healed and I'll do the hands-on and all be good. If that was going to happen, then it would have happened, but it didn't. You know, there wasn't a magical anything other than the magic of divinity dropping in, my team saying, hey, we're knocking on the front door here. Did you want to open that bitch up and, you know, listen? Oh, yeah. Okay. Weird, very weird. And to wrap it up, boy, I'm way over. I usually try to keep these at 15 or less. But she did, Ms. Anya Kitty, she's fine. She is fine, I'm pretty sure. They were afraid that she had a thrombosis or a thrombus, a clot, because she's got a little heart murmur. And apparently the heart murmur has gotten worse and it's, you know, taken on some speed. It's much more noticeable and actually was diagnosed today. Whereas, you know, a couple of years ago, the vet just went, yeah, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure I'm hearing a little something there. So there was a need for her to go. And that was what I realized in the office as I was waiting, those critical moments of going, oh no, that I'm glad, even though it was a very expensive visit, and it was, you know, something I'm sure she would rather have not had put into her day, I was able to get the diagnosis of the heart murmur, which is very significant. Even though her injury, possible injury, pulled muscle, maybe fighting with Evan Rude yesterday, whatever, it does not appear to be a blood clot that's actually causing the leg to be lame. However, I need to know about her heart murmur because they will create blood clots and she needs to be on some medication for that. And so as soon as she kind of recovers from this, and you know, I recover, ooh, that was expensive, then I will get her to a vet to make sure that she's on the appropriate heart medication and what have you. But if she hadn't come up with that injury, then I may not have known any sooner until, you know, next round of seeing the vet in a year, you know, that maybe she would have had a more detrimental problem. And so there's always a way to see a different perspective. It's just not always easy to want to go there because it's easier to get stuck in the problem. That's the paradigm, is just stay stuck with some oppressive beast over you that, you know, we've been very rigidly programmed to believe that horrible is just a way of life and that we just kind of make it grope our way from one emergency to another, or we live a fantastic life where nothing like that happens. Okay, I don't know anybody like that, but you know, or I didn't used to anyway. Now I don't know anybody and what they're doing, but I don't live in that state of emergency anymore. And I understand the paradigm of why we do that. And, you know, fear is the biggest reason that we get caught in it, because when we're afraid that we have no control and no way to really effectively change what's happening or make any kind of effective movement, then we're going to feel powerless, and that triggers anger fear usually triggers anger, because nobody wants to feel like something has an ability to cause me to change my way of life instantly. And if we've got some boogeyman chasing us that we don't even know we have it, like that was one chasing my little baby hard, you know, and I had no idea until Spirit was able to help me open up my heart, my mind, my third eye, whatever it was, enough to really hear and see that little part of me that was just absolutely triggered beyond anything. I mean, it was just, no, I can't do this anymore. And so there was a great deal of compassion when I realized what was going on. This isn't just me being obstinate or weird or, you know, all the things that I told myself for so long about, well, those were just messages of what somebody else just thought of me. And I've made a million of those assessments of other people too, because we're pretty unkind. Many of us are very unkind in trying to understand the anxiety and the fear of another person. I have no idea what goes on in anybody else's world. I just know that in mine, sometimes it takes a lot to get out the door, you know, to be able to cope with life in general. And you know, I don't need anybody to feel sorry for me. I don't want anybody to feel sorry for me. I would, however, appreciate that people are compassionate, and I was so grateful because this clinic was fantastic, and they were very compassionate and understanding, and, you know, working with me and trying to, wait a minute, you know, what about this, what about that? And because I do have a medical background, I can get a little bit deeper into the conversation as far as, you know, let's get to the meat of this. You know, we need cardiology, do we need this? And putting it into that context of, hey, the paramedic's here. However, the paramedic can take off her uni and be the person, the mom who's got a, you know, sick kitty. And so let's talk about it from the, you know, the intellectual level, put it through the frontal lobe, and then also be able to engage the human side of it, which is, I'm frightened my cat's not going to make this, and, you know, or that we're going to have long-term problems, and, you know, things like that. And so these people were fantastic, and, you know, never seen it before ever, but their medicine bottle, because they gave me some pain meds to give her to go home with, and their little med bottle, it says, please give Ms. Anya Kitty, blah, 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 blah. And that's just the sweetest. It's the small little things like that that really just say to me that y'all are on fire. You're woke, you're lit, you're compassionate people who are understanding that this is an emergency vet clinic, and, you know, ugly stuff comes in, I'm sure. I mean, several ugly things came in as I was sitting there, and I was very grateful for that too, that they triage, that's what they do. They're just like a regular hospital. And my kitty, I was very fortunate that she was seen before some of those real emergencies came in, because she would have been triaged as not the emergency to upside, you know, the others. And so it was just a matter of timing. If I had left first thing whenever she had the problem, I wouldn't have been there to have experienced it that way, because they had been busy. And so, you know, listening very closely, even though I was thinking I should be calling there, I should just go to a, you know, a 24-hour vet, I should just go there. And that's, you know, that's not a good idea, you know, not to just on the fly, because I've lived places where the local emergency vet was the last place you wanted to take your critical need animal. It just was. And so, you know, I didn't want to do that. What I wanted to do was calm that part of me that really just needed to know, look, we got this and you're okay. And I actually gave myself a hug, which I don't really do too much of that anymore. You know, I used to really spend a lot of time, you know, like, it's okay, safe, soft touch, we can do this, we could do this. And if I do my own, then I know what that feels like. Really, truly, that I know what that feels like, and it doesn't creep me out necessarily. And if it does, then back up off that person. And so I just gave myself a hug and just said, look, we're gonna be okay. She's gonna be okay one way or another. And no matter what happens, here's where it gets real and raw, is that I have to keep talking to myself as I'm pulling out of that, you know, 2-year-old, that as I'm pulling out of that, and we're, you know, talking more with the higher self, and we're getting that person inside to come on board. Yeah, we're good, is, excuse me, we're going to have to talk about the reality that there could be some surgery, there could be, you know, anything involved as I'm taking her over. It's like, she could be quite ill. You have no idea. You've talked to a mobile vet who said, get her to the hospital now. I can't help you. You need to go now, you know, and here's why. And, you know, so we can't guarantee. There's no guarantee. And even though I'm an empath and I can, you know, channel messages and all that, I'm not going to be told ahead of time, sometimes I am given some premonition stuff, but I was not given that information. I was not told how that was going to work out. I wasn't told, you know, or given some sense of completion that, don't worry, 33, she'll be fine, you know, she's good. And I didn't get that. I was not given that. That was not happening. And so I had to just look at the reality of, as much as it sucks, I hate it, and I don't want to do it, there could be the possibility that this is terminal. If the cat can't walk, can't ambulate for some reason, and will not be able to, eating and going to the bathroom and that kind of stuff, we need to look at that. And so I couldn't have that conversation with that part of me that was super duper triggered, though. That was not going to happen. And so I have to triage myself and say, okay, go through the protocol of triage is look at what's the most emergent need inside of me. And if there's a need for me to run, scream, that there's definitely, triage becomes no longer Anya, because I'm not going to be able to help Anya if I'm over here having my own flake and break. So triage becomes, oh yes, what's going on with you? How can I help you? And actually, thank you, Spirit. That was something that I did say, is I'm very clear that there's somewhere inside of me that I'm not hearing well enough. And how may I help you? How may I help this situation? What can I do, Spirit, to help myself and help whatever part of me? Because that wasn't borrowed energy. That wasn't somebody showing up. That was right slam inside of me. And I knew that. I mean, I could feel it in my own body. When I'm picking up other people's energy, that's a totally separate feel and not visceral. Nope, that's an observational feel. I don't know how that makes sense, but it's just observing the feeling rather than actually being involved in the feeling itself, as in it's my own visceral response. It's very different. And so that has to be dealt with differently. It just has to be dealt with differently. And objectivity and being able to put that superposition and a breath, a pause, just some time dilation here to, okay, not easy necessarily. It gets easier with practice, and, growing that faith, it's really all about that for me, is trust that you may not hear it, you may not see it, you may have to walk blind, blinder than lasagna, blind, and just have to intellectually know. Whatever way you're knowing it there, Kate, just know it, grow it, and believe it, and then it grows. You grow it by believing it. And I think, well, okay, how do I grow my faith right now? I just want her to be healed. Well, that's really probably not going to happen like that. So what can we do? Okay, well, can I get up and down on the trampoline? Yes, you can. Let's go do that right now. And what else can I do? What else can I do for you? What do you need? And that's when I don't want to do that. Okay, and those are reasonable. Those are very reasonable. No reason why you would feel any other way. What can I do to help you deal with the fear? Because I'm not going to let Ms. Anya die. I'm not going to let her go without care. We're going to get her taken care of. So she's okay. How about you? What can we do for you? And then I just kept reassuring myself that I'm not going anywhere. I'm here, and I'm here with Anya too. She's fine. I'm here with both of you. And it sounds really kind of kooky, but I was ironically listening to Mel Robbins, which I don't really know a lot about her, but she's a really neat lady. She's got a lot of good stuff to say, and I'm pretty sure she's very well known. I mean, it looks like a regular channel, like an Oprah type channel, but I don't know that she's that big. I'm not sure, but they had and maybe that's why this happened, was because I was watching her. She was talking to a woman who actually got in touch with Mel's a little part of her that was having some anxiety. Isn't that wonderful? Spirit's good. I hadn't put those two things together. That's why I was led to watch that, because I've not watched any of her other stuff. I've seen a thing or two, maybe a minute or two, but I've never watched anything regularly to know her. But I was led yesterday to watch that video, and I was like, wow, that's just really cool. And then today pull in with, yesterday was the pre-brief. That was the train up. That was the class, that was Anxiety Management 101. You went to that class, and today we're having the practical application of that. Would you like to implement that new tool, or did you want to, try going to school back there, because that's remedial education. You really don't need that. That's an easy class there, Kate. You already passed that one. You got an A++++++++. Please stop being the valedictorian of that class, okay? And come over here to this class. And I did, and even the most tentative little steps in that direction are still notated, and they matter. They count. It's a matter of acknowledging them, praising them, and then not caring if it sounds stupid to anybody else. And if it sounds stupid to me, that's when I know, oh, we need to feed the monkey mind. Where's the banana? Where's the banana of proof? And the banana of proof is that I've got all kinds of demonstration behind me that I can cite as, okay, Spirit did this when I asked, and Spirit did this when I asked, and I was given this information when I asked about that. And do we have any demonstrated proof that it has not come through for you, Kate, once you're plugged in? Now that you're plugged in, or unplugged from the matrix and plugged into better source energy, has it not worked for you when you've called and asked divinity? No. Did it ever work before whenever there wasn't that connection? No. So that's how I know, is there's a very clean distinction of really getting in touch with that part of me that was connected to divinity. It's unlocked a bunch of those little kid parts and a bunch of different things. So, you know, from that time forward of the awakening process, it really did change. So go with that change, and remember, we're changing a paradigm on top of it. It isn't just a matter of change the way you think about things. It's a matter of, you just have to change the whole protocol. We're not on that protocol anymore at all. This isn't just a matter of open your mind to get on a different protocol. We're on another timeline. We're on a whole other, you know, paradigm. We're in a whole new age of Aquarius versus age of Pisces. I mean, however we need to understand it, we're not doing this barbaric thing anymore. We're just onto a different way of doing life. And so it's about the choice of stay back here locked with, you know, what's familiar. Just because a shoe is, or a slipper is comfortable and familiar, you know, doesn't mean it's the best, most supportive, most comfortable thing that I could have on my feet. You know, what if somebody offered me heavenly clouds to wear instead of those nappy old slippers that I have that are all stomped down and the fluff is gone? What if I was offered the chance to go right up to a cloud and, you know, pick out flippers. Pick out flippers that are made out of clouds. Yes, pick out some slippers that just, you know, were made out of heavenly cloud. What? And I wasn't going to get them unless I took those old ones off. Then how about I shed that old stuff? Because that too is part of the proof that when you've dumped off that old toxic whatever it was, what happened? Well, I got this. And how do I know that? I keep track of it. You know, I write it down. I keep a gratitude journal. I don't write every single thing down. However, I do keep a gratitude journal so that I can go back and say, yeah, monkey mind, here you go. There's demonstrated proof. So hush. Because that's just the programming. That's not me that's sitting there going, kek, 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 kek. Sounds like it sometimes. However, separate it out, that's not that little child inside of me that's talking like a grown-up who's panicked. That's the paradigm. That's the that's the understanding that, you know, all of the bad juju from input, you know, when we're children about how horrible we are, you know, that's just all that old programming. That's what's talking. That's like a computer program that's talking. That's not you. So learn to distinguish between the two, because that's not you. And for as long as I keep thinking that is me, then I feel the shame and the I can't seem to get through this. And so it's really fascinating and such a relief to know that, oh yeah, I don't have to throw the baby part of me under the bus with shut up, you know, be quiet, because I'm not saying that to the baby part. I deal with that little toddler part that was hanging weird, not liking it, you know, understandably so. Deal with that part first and tell the monkey mind, you got to sit down for a minute until I can get to here. And then once she's placated and not appeased exactly, once she has been appropriately dealt with and handled and, you know, loved up and brought to a place of, okay, you're safe, then I can go back to that monkey mind and say, look, here we have this, and you can't run this little girl into the ground. You know, you're a dying thing, and I know that the rats are running from the ship, you know, it's sinking and all that. However, you're an old program and you got to go. I don't do you anymore, and stop torturing my babies, you know. And it can sound really bizarre. I don't care. It's working for me, and it's keeping me from, you know, going crazy in my own house or being unable to effectively deal with an emergency with my cat. She needed help, and though, you know, she's okay, probably. I mean, you know, for right now, she's stable and she's okay, and it seems that there's not any kind of a clot. However, if that had been something that needed more immediate, truly immediate emergent care, that wasn't going to happen. So now I'm fortunate that it was set up in such a way that she wasn't, you know, that critical as in life-threatening, then I was lucky and fortunate, and I put that right in there in my gratitude journal in a few minutes to say thank you for that, because I can take away all the bad stuff. That's easy, you know. Go valedictorian in the what's good about this, because making lemonade out of lemons is a far better way to go, unless you just like, you know, suck it on lemons. And you know, I'd like a little sweeter version of that, you know, a way sweeter version of it. The bitter life is just bitter boots, and I don't like it. So anyhow, we're on to 44 minutes, and that's a really long time. So thank you very much for stopping by. I hope you have a beautiful day, whatever part of the day you're in. And don't forget, friends, get within, because within your skin, you're divine. It's totally, totally, totally fine. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you again next time. Be well. Bye, friends.